Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another post-match live stream. Obviously, the first one we've had in quite some time, being it that West Ham haven't had a match in a whole 18 days, and yet we still can't figure it out and succumb to a 2-0 loss to Man City up in Manchester. As always, I am joined today with Irish Tommy. How you doing?
Not so good at the moment. I'm pretty pissed off right now. Obviously, not just with the defeat, we were away to Man City, but the manner in which this game was approached, which I know we're going to get into. But I'm not a happy camper right now, Chris, if I'm honest.
Nor am I. So I was talking with Tommy about this beforehand, and I'm going to play the immediate post-match interview, or at least a clip from it, with David Moyes. Unfortunately, I'm not very good with getting the screen share, so it'll be played just off my phone. So here you are.
I thought our effort was fantastic. I thought the players done everything they could. We set up to try and make it difficult. For periods we did do. Their performance was very good. Their football was very good. But we blocked a lot. We defended well. We hope to counter-attack a bit better, a bit more often. But obviously that's the quality of the side we're playing against.
What are your reactions to that?
Just, he's deluded. He's absolutely deluded. I don't know what he was watching, but it wasn't the game I watched. He's talking about a different game, because to describe us as fantastic is laughable. Anybody who watched that game knows it's laughable. And the bit that really kind of stuck out with me there was when he said we were hoping to do a bit more on the counter-attack. Were you really?
We didn't have
Snodgrass and Noble. Snodgrass, Noble, Souček. Those are the players you were relying on to counter-attack for us? Really? Give me a break. They're too slow. They were never going to be able to counter-attack against City. So, never.
Really quickly, for those just joining the chat, especially Jim, I just played a clip from the post-match live or interview immediately off the field with David Moyes, who said that he thought that we played fantastic today. So for those of you just tuning in, because I see the view count ticking up here. So let me get into some other comments that he made in the post-match press conference. The question was asked, were you too defensive? I thought we were organized well defensive. I thought we were well organized defensively. The structure was to make it difficult for Man City. There will be very few teams come here and be open. We've done a decent job. Not good enough to get points, but there were bits of it that were good.
Just ridiculous. The only reason they didn't put 5 passes is because Jesus was shit. He had 3 gilt-edged chances. Jesus should have had a hat-trick. He was in behind us 3 times and should have finished, and missed every one of them. He was terrible. If it had been Aguero who'd gotten the chances that Jesus got, it would have been 5. So I don't know what he's talking about. I mean, the reason we only conceded 2 had more to do with Man City not being at their sharpest in front of goal. Some of their final balls weren't as good as you usually expect from them. So it had nothing to do with any defensive brilliance on our part. So that's the first thing I want to say about that. The second thing is, this kind of, he's almost gloating that we didn't get destroyed. Like that was, and clearly you can tell that was his aim all along. That was the height of his ambition in this game, was, let's not concede 4 or 5 goals here. I don't think even attempting to win this game ever entered his head.
No.
He just wanted to go there, be defensive, be hard to beat, and try not to lose by more than 1 or 2 goals.
Yeah. So one thing I was thinking about right after this match, I was trying to take comparisons between the Liverpool match where we lost 2-0 at home and this match. The Liverpool match was only 2-0 because we actually played somewhat well. This match was solely due to the fact that Man City were not good in front of goal. Let me read you the stat line or some of the stats from this game. Man City, 20 shots on goal, 7 on target. West Ham, 3 shots on goal, 0 on target. 6 corners to City, 1 to West Ham. And this is what I found. These two next stats are what I find disgusting. Passes. West Ham 244, Manchester City 891. And then, and then
that's it. All of it. Yeah. Sorry. Go on.
Oh, sorry. Touches in the opposition box. Man City 49, West Ham 7.
Yeah. Those stats tell you everything you need to know about David Moyes' approach to this game. If I go back to an hour before kickoff, when the team sheet came out, I was disgusted when I saw not just the formation but the personnel, the starting 11. Could not believe what I was looking at. Now, I understand it's not an easy place to go. I understand they're going to have more possession than almost everybody they play there. That you're going to have to defend well because they are very good going forward, and Kevin De Bruyne is an absolute wizard, just an amazing player. So I understand you. Even whether you go out to defend or not, you're going to have to spend a certain amount of the game away to City, where they're going to force you back, and you're going to have to do a certain amount of defending. So I don't worry too much about that. I never thought we'd have a whole pile of possession.
Yeah,
but
same here.
What the smart managers do is they say, okay, when they're in possession, we're going to be compact, we're going to be tough to break down, but then we have to have a way, when we do win the ball back, we have to have a way of trying to hurt them. And the best way to do that is with pace on the counter-attack and try and get them turned and running towards their own goal, because they will commit a lot of players forward in attack. Their fullbacks will come up, centre-backs will be high, they'll try to pen you in. So you need pace if you're going to have any chance to give them something to think about on the counter. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to play wing-backs. I knew Moyes was going to do it. I knew he was going to play wing-backs. He just loves it. Yeah. There was no need to do it. You can play a flat back 4 away at City and still be set up well defensively and still have more players with pace capable of countering. But when you're doing it with wing-backs, particularly with 2 bloody useless ones in Fredericks and Masuaku, and then you're expecting the likes of Noble and Soucek and Snodgrass to hurt City going the other way, you've got no chance.
Yeah.
We had the players. That's the thing. We had players sitting on the bench who could do the job.
Yeah, our players that we would have been able to put to field for a counterattack suited game. All 3 of them were on the bench, and then Fornals.
Exactly.
And we haven't even gotten into the fact that Fornals wasn't even in the freaking squad, let alone on the field.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. I couldn't believe he wasn't even in the squad. Obviously, nobody was surprised he wasn't starting because Moyes, for some reason, just does not like the guy.
I was surprised Lanzini didn't start. I really was.
Yeah, I think that was a surprise because he's seems to be Moyes' love child or something. But I mean, when Moyes took over, Fornals was probably our most informed player. He was probably our best performer. Obviously he had a slow start to the season, but he's young and he was coming from a foreign country, and you're always going to give them a bit of leeway. But he was growing and growing and growing into the Premier League, and he was scoring a couple of goals. He was getting assists. He was looking more confident. He was looking for the ball. He was the one player, even when we were playing badly, who actually looked like a positive for us. And he just seemed to be getting better and better and better. And so David Moyes, in his infinite wisdom, as soon as he comes in, decides to drop our most informed player. And in place of Lanzini, who had done nothing all season, who was really struggling for form and wasn't really contributing anything to the team. And then tonight, just, the cherry on top was to leave Fornals completely out of the squad. Moyes is a disaster of a manager. I'm sorry. I think the guy is absolutely clueless. He does not know what, and he's really happy going back down the motorway on the team coach, thinking that was, fantastic effort. And he's delighted with this 2-0 loss. Like there's some kind of moral victory for him that we didn't get spanked.
So yeah,
and let's be honest here, Chris. This is not City in their pomp. It's not City in their pomp. This is a City team that lost their last 2 games. They're not at their best. They look the most fragile they've looked since Guardiola took over. I didn't think City were brilliant tonight by any stretch of the imagination. I thought City were decent, and that was it. They weren't brilliant. I thought there was an opportunity there tonight, to at least have a go at them, and see if we could do something here, because they are a bit vulnerable now, more so than they've ever been. And I think the shocking and disappointing and angering thing for me is that we never even tried.
No.
We never even tried.
Let me read you another quote from the brilliant David Moyes. The question was mental as well as organizational, preparation or spirits. Moyes was quoted as saying, "The player's spirit is actually very good. Everyone knows the difficulty of playing Man City and Liverpool away. There will be the majority of teams find that difficult. We tried to get something who knows if goal difference might be important. Ultimately, the way to stay up is to win the games, and we will have opportunities to do so. Not when you play shit lineups like that."
Do you know what that tells you, Chris? That quote you just gave us? He wrote this game off before a ball was kicked. Wrote the game off.
Yep.
He never had any intention of doing anything other than damage control for 95 minutes, as it turned out. 95 minutes of damage control. He never, ever thought about trying to win this game. The reason he didn't make subs, the only subs he made, first one was enforced when Fredericks got what looks to be a dislocated shoulder, and he had to replace him with Zabaleta. And then in the 80th minute, he brought Jared Bowen on for a little runabout. What that tells me is he wrote this game off before a ball was kicked. He's going to write the Liverpool game off at Anfield on Monday before a ball is kicked. And then he's going to look to the home game with Southampton and think, okay, now we'll try and win the game.
When we're going to be...
I'm sorry, you cannot turn form or attitude or effort on and off like a switch. You can't do it. You have to instill it in a team. You have to demand it game after game. And you can't let, no matter who you're playing, you have to go out with the right attitude. You have to go out and try and get something from a game. You can't just say, right, we're going to write this one off, we'll write the next one off, and then we're home with Southampton. We'll switch it on for that game and go out and we'll play much better and we'll attack and we'll be great and we'll win the game. It's not how it works.
No.
It's not a light switch. You have to instill it in your players game to game. You look at Sheffield United. The reason they are where they are is every time you watch Sheffield United, you know you're watching Sheffield United. You see the same team every week. You see the same attitude, the same organization. The players all know what they're doing. They have the right attitude. They're set up the right way. They have that consistency of attitude, consistency of performance, of expectation. And we have none of that because our manager is writing games off. Sorry?
I said we are the complete opposite. I mean, my co-host on one of the guys I do the podcast with, Johnny. One of the things he always talks about is how we do not have a system. I want to know if he's in the chat. I'm sure he'll chime in about it, but it's absolutely true. Every week, different formation. Every week, different personnel, different strategy. It just doesn't make sense to me.
No, it doesn't make sense to anybody, including the players. Listen, players are not stupid. The players, whenever it was the players found out this is the formation, this is who's playing, they knew. They're not stupid. They knew that this was basically an exercise in damage control, and that there was a complete lack of ambition there to ever even try and win this game. Players are not stupid. They've been around long enough. They know what's up. They know that game was a write-off. I think the exact same thing's going to happen Monday at Liverpool, and then they're going to try and hit the Southampton game and get a win off in that game. So players, not surprisingly, kind of reflect the attitude of the manager, because the manager sets the tone, right? And again, to go back to Sheffield United, you see the tone that Wilder sets, right? Chris Wilder sets a specific tone at Sheffield United. The players all know what's expected of them. They know how they play. They know what they need to do, and they're all on the same page. Their attitude is good. It's positive, great vibes, and it works for them. With us, like you say, it just flip-flops all over the place. The manager, Moyes, just doesn't instill any confidence in the players. He doesn't instill any kind of fight in the players, any attitude of, right, we're going to really dig in here and we're going to have a go. Because I know you guys in the US get a different commentary team than we got over here, but the co-commentator tonight was former Arsenal striker Alan Smith. And at one point in the second half, he made the comment that West Ham don't look like a team that are fighting for their lives at the bottom of the table. Because we were so passive. All night we were just so passive. There was no urgency about our performance. There was no guts. There was no character in it. It was just this passive, going through the motions. We're going to get back here nice and deep, try and keep them out, try not to ship too much damage. And it was just, it was cowardly, I thought. I thought it was just a cowardly formation, cowardly personnel selection from Moyes, cowardly attitude. And actually, when I saw the team an hour before kickoff, I sent one tweet, and one tweet only between then and kickoff. And it was 3 words, and I believe it was fucking disgraceful team.
Yep, something like that.
Yeah, and because immediately everyone who saw that starting 11, every West Ham fan, when they saw that starting 11, knew immediately that this was just backs to the wall, and we were just trying to keep the score down, and that there was no ambition whatsoever in that starting 11. There wasn't even a pretense in that starting 11 or the formation that we were going to try and get something from this game. And I just hate the cowardliness of it. I just hate the cowardliness of it. Because when you're down in our situation, you have to instill fight and guts and positivity into your players. They have to bring an energy to games to show that they're willing to fight their way out of this. Even if it had been a losing effort tonight, if we'd have just gone for it and really tried to get something out of this game and put it up to City as best we could, and still lost. You can still take some positivity from a loss away to Man City. If you do that, you can still actually come out of it with the players' heads held high and thinking, you know what, we keep playing like that, we keep showing the fight, we'll be all right. We're going to win games. But you don't come out of a game like we played tonight with any positivity. You can't. What's there to shout about? What's there to build any confidence or to feel like you can go on and win games? So I was disgusted by the whole attitude from Moyes with that selection tonight. And Alan Smith was absolutely right. We did not look like a team that had any fight in us. that we're willing to battle our way out of the trouble that we're in, and it was disgraceful. And I remember thinking to myself before the game ever kicked off, I won't be one bit surprised if we don't get a single shot on target tonight.
Yeah, I will say though, for me personally, the only positive that was from that match is Declan Rice looked effing incredible. For God's sakes, he was our most prolific attacking player for most of the match.
Yeah, Rice put in a huge effort. In fairness to him, he was the one player that really tried to drive the team on. The problem with that is everyone noticed it. He stuck out like a sore thumb in our team. Again, Alan Smith even said that Declan Rice looks like he's a class above everybody else on the West Ham team.
What I'm worried about.
There was one point there where he drove the length of the field, drove up the right wing, skinned Benjamin Mendy, and then put a cross in that we almost got something from. Centre back almost made a kind of balls of his attempt to deal with the cross. But he did that a few times, Rice, really tried to drive the team on. And you could see him having a go at teammates as well during the game. He was digging his teammates out as well. So I think, as you were about to say, Chris, the problem with that is him sticking out like a sore thumb like that and looking like a really class act is just another kind of thing where he's window. Even if we somehow manage to survive, it's going to be very difficult to keep hold of him beyond this summer.
That's what I'm worried about. Because damn well that for God's sakes, Moyes has even said that he's been open. Earlier this week, it was reported that he's even open to selling him in the summer, which should just show Moyes' ineptitude right there. But they're wanting for $90 million for him. If that $90 million, which I don't think it will, does not get invested back into the squad, if we stay up, we're going to be right back in the same situation next season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we'll get 90 for him, to be honest, but I'm not sure who out there needs a Declan Rice badly enough to pay 90 million for him. I suspect any realistic bids that come in would be maybe between 60 and 70 million. And then the club would have a decision to make. They could probably hold out for 70. They probably could get that. I don't think 90 is realistic. But let's say we get 70 million for him in the summer. It's a lot of cash, it's a chunk of change, and you can, with 70 million, you can do a lot of good. The problem is, again, let's just assume we survive and we're still a Premier League team, okay? The problem is the people who are going to be spending that money. I don't know exactly how much say David Moyes is going to have in specific players that come in. David Moyes maybe only is able to go to David Sullivan and say, look, I need someone to replace Rice. I need a right back. I'd like another forward, or I want this or I want that. And then whether he gets to decide who those players are or not, I don't even know. But either way, I don't particularly trust David Moyes and David Sullivan to get the right players in. They're very hit and miss, both of them, and their records are very hit and miss. So it's one thing to have the money, it's another thing to spend it wisely. So who the hell knows? But I think we just have to brace ourselves, really, that we're very likely going to lose Rice this summer.
Yeah. And it feels like it almost feels like the first season at the Olympic Stadium when Payet, or going into the summer with Payet, like it's going to be a fight. It's going to be a struggle to keep him. And I don't think we're going to be able to salvage it this time around.
No, look, Rice isn't going to be a dickhead about it. He's not going to pull an Ernie or a Payet on us. But
saying that it feels like it's going to be an uphill battle trying to keep him.
Yeah. We have some chance if we stay up. Some chance.
If we
I
go,
think Rice.
no chance he stays.
Oh no, if we go down, we lose most of the first 11. But yeah, I think. Listen, would you blame Rice? Really?
Not at
Like,
all.
to be honest with you,
Not at-
like, I love Declan Rice. He came through the academy. You know, he's one of our own, as they say. I love the guy, and I'll tell you honestly, Chris. Even if we survive, I wouldn't blame him one bit for slapping a transfer request in
Yeah,
this summer and saying, "Look, fuck this. I can't keep doing this."
yeah.
You know, this is a team going nowhere. I think in an ideal world, Declan Rice would like to stay and would like to see a team that's progressing, moving in the right direction, improving the team all the time, and where he can see some kind of progress. But I think it would be impossible for him to feel that way. And there were times out there tonight where he looked incredibly frustrated. You know, he was
I've been seeing.
throwing his hands around, shaking his head, he's digging teammates out. And I think he's pissed off, to be honest, Chris, with the whole situation, like the rest of us are.
Yeah, he actually did. I just looked it up. Declan Rice actually did just tweet literally a minute ago. I mean, it's just a standard disappointing result tonight, but a massive thank you to our fans for the supporters yet again. It doesn't go unnoticed with a heart emoji.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that as well, because there was comments made by Moyes in the pre-game press conference where he's lucky I wasn't in the room talking about the fans. Oh, fans, you know, need to get behind us and show the support and help the team and blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, are you fucking serious? Fans have been brilliant all season. Been brilliant. Particularly those away fans are amazing. We have some of the best away fans in the country. And even at home, despite all the disappointment, the team are always trying to do their best for the team. You know, the fans are always trying to do their best for the team, always trying to get behind them. And I tweeted, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I thought he had a fucking cheek to say that, to call on the fans to get behind the team and show up. And I'm thinking, fans have been showing up all season, David. So go fuck yourself. It might be nice if the fucking players would show up once in a fucking while.
Yeah.
Talking about the fans. When you should be digging fucking players out.
If you want the fans to truly get behind you, you have to put a product out there that shows that you're willing to fight, that you have ambition, that you're wanting to succeed. That's how you get the fans truly behind you. The more that you put crap like this, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse.
Listen, Chris, we were 2-0 down at the Etihad, or the Etihad tonight. It was after the 80th minute. We'd been absolute shit all game. All I could hear on the telly was fucking bubbles from the away fans. You know, and David Moyes coming out talking about we need the fans. We need the fucking players, David, if you don't mind. If it's not too much to ask, we need the players to start fucking turning up and giving us something back. Absolute joke of a thing to say, like.
Wholeheartedly agree. I want to actually go to something too that I saw in the chat with Jim, with saying that give Rice the armband. That's something I want to talk about too. Noble as of late has been atrocious.
Yeah, Noble has been poor, and I've never thought he was a particularly good leader either, frankly. But I don't see any particular good that would come of stripping Noble of the captaincy. I think to strip someone of the captaincy, you know, they have to have done something really.
Of the captaincy, I don't think that he should be the one starting right now, especially in the midfield.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other question. Yeah, I agree with that. I wouldn't have started him tonight. He wasn't in the team I put out. Let's put it that way. He was not in that starting 11 that I put out. My starting 11. Yeah, I was surprised actually to see him start tonight. I really was. I know they've had a little break, but again, wrong player for what we were trying to do. If you're genuinely feeling like, we're going to try and hurt them with quick counter attacks, you don't fucking start Noble. You just don't. It makes no sense whatsoever. And he was really poor tonight. He offered absolutely nothing. So yeah, I'd have had no qualms about dropping him. I wouldn't play Noble all that much if I'm completely honest.
Yeah.
If you were going to play, now I didn't have anyone beside Rice in my team. I had Rice just in front of the back four, flat back four, and I had three in front of that, and I didn't have Noble there. But if you're going to play someone alongside Rice, you have options. You don't have to play Noble in there. Fornells could play in there and do a great job, I think.
Yeah.
If you ask Snoddy to sit in there and do a job, he'll do a job for you. Souček can sit back there and do a job. There are plenty of options there that I think are all better than Noble at this point. And if Noble isn't going to start, then absolutely I'd have no problem whatsoever handing Rice the armband, because Rice is a leader, and we saw that tonight. Rice was the one player out there who was trying to drag the team up. He was trying to infuse a bit of fight into them and lead by example. So yeah, he is absolutely a leader, Rice. So I'd have no problem doing that, Chris, at all.
Yeah. So I want to ask you then, where do we go from here? Well, I mean, I know that everything's looking pretty bleak at the moment, but where do we go from here?
It's hard to be optimistic. I'll tell you what, look, Moyes wrote this game off. He's going to write off the game at Anfield. He'll set up to not get spanked, basically. He's going to just try and keep the score down. I think what he's trying to do is he's going to save players like Anderson, Lanzini, maybe Yarmolenko, he'll be back. Bowen. I think he's trying to save them for Southampton.
Yeah.
I think Moyes thinks he felt he had no hope this evening, which wasn't true. I think he feels he has no hope at Anfield. I actually don't think that's true either, despite Liverpool's lead and how good they've been. I think Liverpool are pissed off with Atletico, really pissed off, and I think their minds are on revenge against Atletico in that second leg. And I suspect Liverpool will not be at their best against us. I think they may even make some changes.
Yeah, but
they may not be at full strength. So I think Moyes is trying to, as I spoke earlier, he's trying to pick and choose the games that he's going to try and win. And I think that's a very, very dangerous thing to do.
Yeah.
So I won't go over it again about the whole light switch thing, but I think it's a very dangerous thing to do. And I think that's the kind of thing that backfires, because he's now going to put every one of them players under immense pressure in that Southampton game. I mean, it's going to be huge pressure on those players, because he's going to put them in a position where they know they absolutely have to win that game. They have to win it. Nothing else will do. And we've seen these players don't particularly react well to that stuff. When it comes to, no guts, no glory, they tend to go hiding. They don't tend to bring the right attitude. We saw against Brighton. Even Moyes, when we were, for the second time in the game, when we were 2 goals to good, when 3-1 up, his whole mindset was, right, we're going to sit on this, we're going to protect it, we're going to become negative. It spreads through players like wildfire. And then when you ramp up the pressure, because you've decided you're not even going to try and win the 2 previous games, and you ramp up the pressure for them to have to win the next game at home against Southampton, it doesn't augur well, Chris. It's just massive pressure on the players, and I'm not sure they'll respond well to it.
No.
And if that game goes badly, then that could have a terrible effect on the whole team. A terrible effect. So basically, I feel like he's putting everything on the line with the Southampton game. I know we've still got games left after that, but there's some tough games coming again after that. We've got Chelsea home, we've got Newcastle away, United away. Excuse me, we've got Arsenal.
In a row after that Southampton match. I can't remember the exact order, but I know we have Tottenham, Chelsea, Arsenal, and Wolves.
Yeah, we've got Wolves in there as well. Newcastle away, I think, is in there. So he's playing with fire, and I don't like this one bit. Like I say, you have to pick a fucking attitude, and it has to be a positive one where you're going to get after teams, even if you lose it. Fuck it, fine. We lose away at City, having a go. We lose at Anfield, having a go. But you instill the attitude so that when it comes to the Southampton game, it's automatic. To just go out there, the attitude is there. The right mindset is there, and then you can get a result in that game. But this light switch shit scares me. I don't like it one bit.
No.
So, but no, so far we've been lucky, Chris, because the teams around us have been getting beaten. They've been losing games. Villa had a point in the bag against Tottenham and absolutely threw it away. A horrendous defensive error.
That one.
Yeah, I mean, again, we got lucky. We got really lucky that Villa made an absolute balls of that.
No, not many people have been talking about this, but son of Tottenham, he had to have some sort of surgery on I believe his right arm, and he's out for a number of weeks. We play them in 3.5 weeks. We might not have son.
Yeah, my understanding is he's gone for the season.
Oh, really?
My understanding was that he might not play again this season.
Wow, that's actually
so. So I think he's certainly out for the game against us. But again, see, we can talk about all these different games we play, these different teams we play. Realistically, who would you back us to beat? People keep talking about winnable games.
That's a very good point. I don't know, especially with attitude. Like
Everton at home was winnable. Brighton home was winnable. We've had winnable games. We went away to Sheffield United. Technically winnable. They're not a brilliant squad of players, but we never win them.
After that Brighton match, being 3-1 up and ending up drawing, I can no longer say that any game is a winnable game.
No, you can't. And I know what people mean. They're teams down in and around us, right? So games that it's not the same as being away to Liverpool or whatever. So I understand people saying winnable games, but the problem is we haven't been winning the winnable games. We've been drawing them and losing them.
Yep.
The only winnable game we've won was at home to Bournemouth since Moyes took over.
That's the
only one.
He's won.
Yeah, and let's be honest. I said it at the time. I urged caution, Chris, if you remember. I said, look, it's great to get the 3 points, score 4 goals, great, but I said that's the worst team by far we've played all season. They were absolutely horrendous that night, Bournemouth. And so I said, I'm going to keep my powder dry here because this doesn't mean too much to me. And here we are a few weeks later, and unfortunately, I was right. It was just that Bournemouth were horrifically bad. So this winnable Southampton game, the final 6 games are all somewhat winnable, maybe apart from away to United is in there, but the other 5, I think, are in the winnable game category. But with Moyes in charge of this team, I don't trust him to guide us to wins in any of those games. Now, I'm not saying we'll lose every game or that we won't get any wins at all. we might shithouse a 1-0 win against someone. Who knows? But I just don't trust Moyes to win enough games to keep us up, despite the fact that the final 6 games aren't too bad. But I mean, I just don't. I can't be confident of us beating any team we play right now.
Yeah.
So I'm really worried, Chris, because especially when your manager's just fucking throwing games. We can't fucking do that, Chris. We had before tonight's game with 13 games left. We can't afford that. You can't throw games and say, right, we'll just fucking try and keep the limit the damage in this game and limit the damage at Anfield on Monday night, and then try and beat Southampton. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm really worried now. Really worried. Like I said, that City team. They weren't there for the taking, obviously, but there was actually a possibility we could have gone there and done something because, they're not great at the moment. They're not great at the moment.
And see, I would have even been fine with had we gone defensive in the first half, regardless of what the score is going into the second. 1-0 going into halftime. That was a very good score for us. What we should have done is switch to a back 4, 3 up front, 3 in the midfield, and just gone for it. Because you're already losing at that point. So what more do you have to lose? Just go for it. Put some effort in, show that you're at least trying, and maybe something happens.
Yeah, despite his attitude at the beginning of the game, Moyes, I mean, at half-time, he must have been thinking, fucking City are not actually playing that great. They're not playing that great. Yeah, they can knock the ball around a bit, but, they're not as sharp as they usually are. There could be something in this for us. And that's where you say, right, fuck it. As you say, Chris, let's switch to a flat back 4. Let's get Anderson in there. Let's get Bowen on. Let's get them on. Let's get some pace in there. Let's get some people who can hit a ball in there. And let's see, if we can't give them something to think about here. And maybe there's something in this for us. But like I said, that never entered his head, Chris, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you too. I was sitting in class while this match was going on. For those of you who don't know, I'm still in college, but so I didn't have any of the commentary on. I wasn't able to listen to any of them were saying. But the only thing I was thinking of, around the 60th minute mark, I'm like, there's something here for us. If we actually put some effort forward and went 3 up front, we possibly could have gotten something. Even just a point. A point would have been a massive win for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even after half-time, as I say, there was still an opportunity after the hour mark where Moyes could have said, fuck it, you know what? City are not putting us away here. They're letting us hang around. Maybe we can punish them for that. And let's get some, like I say, throw in Anderson, throw in Bowen, or even Lanzini. I know he loved Lanzini, but at least it would have been a positive move, I know he couldn't do anything about Fredericks getting injured and having to bring Zabaleta on. You can't hold that against him. But he still had 2 subs that he could have kind of done something positive. And, it tells you everything that, like I say, it just never entered his head. It never entered his head. He was delighted. He said, oh, fucking hell, we're only losing by a small margin here. This is great. Our goal difference isn't suffering. That was his attitude the whole game. And it was disgusting, and I hate it, and it's cowardly. And it's not the mind of a manager that's going to instill the courage and attitude and drive into his players to fight their way out of the hole that we're in. And it just doesn't augur well, Chris. His whole attitude towards tonight's game. And I love the NFL, and I know you probably watch it too, Chris. And how many times do we see commentators on there saying they're letting them hang around? They're playing better. They should be scoring more touchdowns. They should be forward, but they're letting this. And then the other team bloody scores a touchdown, and they end up stealing the game with a field goal or something. And you say, this is what happens when you let a team hang around, right? And we had that opportunity tonight. Man City were letting us hang around for a long time, and Moyes had that opportunity to change it around and say, right, come on, fuck it, 60 minutes in, half an hour left. Let's see if we can go get something. And the fact that he never even considered it just tells you everything you need to know about the guy.
Well, unless you have any other comments, I think we've just about extinguished what there is to say.
As regards tonight's game, I'm just pissed off, to be honest. The man's a coward, and I don't like cowardice. And you don't dig yourself out of trouble with cowardice. You just don't. This is the time of the season where we have to be courageous, where we have to go out and try and get something from every game we play in. We can't afford to write games off, and he's going to do the same thing at Anfield. And I'm dreading it now. I think we have to really hope that the teams around us keep losing, Chris, because we have these next 6 games that are also tough. It's a tough run. And I included home to Southampton in that, because Southampton have improved immeasurably since we last played them. That is not going to be an easy game. Danny Ings is on fire. You know, Southampton are playing pretty well. So that will not be an easy game either, by the way. Everyone, if people are hanging their hat on this Southampton game, they might get a fucking shock. And so by the time we're through this run of the next 6 games, if the teams around us in the meantime start picking up some points, like they get a couple of wins and a draw, and by the time we get to where we're going into those final 6 games where the schedule eases up a bit, we could be cut adrift a little bit and we could be banging trouble. So we better fucking pray that those teams around us keep losing games, because we're going to keep losing over these next few weeks.
Yeah, and that's inherently the issue as well that I find. None of these matches the rest of the way are going to be easy. None of them. Because we know West Ham's luck. We're going to be injury prone yet again. We're going to pick up injuries quite a bit on the way, like we always do. We have a tough run of games these next 7 or 8 matches, and it's just I just dread. I just have a bad feeling.
Yeah, people keep talking about, it could go down to the Villa game at home, winner takes all, and the way things are going, we could already be fucking down. We could already be relegated by the time we play Villa. That's equally possible. So I think, now this is another thing that I would actually want to get into tonight, because anyone who's been on Twitter, and I've been talking about this, I put this question, I was on American Hammers TV and Friends last week, and I put it to the guys on there, and it's going around now after the game tonight on Twitter, is the fact that I think David Sullivan and David Gold are going to have a sit down now and really decide now if they want to back Moyes come hell or high water, because I think it's at the point now where they have to seriously look at sacking him. I really do. I think they've got to start thinking about it. I'm convinced now he's going to get us relegated. I have no faith in him whatsoever to get us out of this mess that we're in. None. From what I've seen, and he's been in charge for a few games now, every game that goes by, I'm more and more convinced that he needs to go, or we're definitely gone. I have no faith in the man. And so I just wonder where Sullivan and Gold's heads are at right now with this. I mean, they must at some point start to get a bit panicky, right? I mean, relegation would be an absolute fucking disaster for the club. And it would be not just a disaster financially and all that, and the players that we lose, and kind of going back to square one, essentially. I mean, it would be an utter humiliation for Gold, Sullivan and Brady for us to be relegated to the Championship. utter humiliation after all their talk about what the move was going to do for us. All of this world-class players in a world-class stadium, competing with the top team, Champions League. Us getting relegated is utter humiliation for them. So
Yeah.
I just wonder, is there going to come a time, let's say we lose let's say we don't beat Southampton. Let's say we lose it or draw it. We lose at Anfield on Monday night, which we're gonna, because Moyes is a coward. Let's say we don't beat Southampton, and then we lose the next couple of games, which are really tough. So we get beat by Chelsea, we get beat by Tottenham. Say Wolves come to the London Stadium and turn us over. At what point do Gold and Sullivan panic? Or do you think they don't panic, Chris? Do you think they're just in this till the finish, or what?
I'm honestly, it could go either way with them. I think if they want some actual good press for once, they'll actually listen to the fans if that's what the fans want, and sack Moyes and figure it out. But I
don't think they've ever given a shit what the fans think. I'm just asking you, what do you think is in their heads?
Yeah. I mean, for now though, we just have to take it one match at a time. And the next match, obviously, yet again against Liverpool. Twice we've had to play them. It'll be twice we've had to play them in a 3-match stretch. Granted, over almost the course of an entire month, but it's just not pretty.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, well, Station 3576 doesn't think they'll panic. He thinks they can walk away with their millions if we're in the championship.
That's what I'm afraid too, just as much as with Moyes going nowhere.
Yeah. And you know what? If they keep Moyes, I'm convinced he'll get us relegated. And
there's a high probability.
If they stick with him after that, I'm convinced there's absolutely no chance in hell he gets us back up, by the way.
No.
No chance in hell Moyes gets us promoted either.
Ooh.
So, yeah. It'll be interesting to see if we'll see. I'm not convinced they'll stick with him till the end of the season. I think if we keep losing, I still think there's a chance that they'll panic.
I think that Southampton match will be, if there's even a hint of them potentially replacing Moyes, it'll come as a result of that Southampton match. If we lose, he's gone. If we win it, he stays. It'll be like the Pellegrini situation all over again.
Yeah, I mean, if we lose at home to Southampton, they'd have to at least be thinking it, right?
Yeah.
They'd have to at least be thinking it. They'd have to be thinking, oh, fucking hell. We're in big trouble here. And they'd be looking at each other like, do we sack this cunt or what? Like, are we going to stick with him? Like, we're going down. I don't know. I still think there's a possibility they'll hit the panic button.
I do too. I think that there is a legit or realistic possibility of that happening. But at what point then would it be who replaces Moyes? Yet again, we're in another dilemma of managerial situations.
Yeah, well, look, it's going to have to be someone that can come in immediately, like next day, right? Can take training next day and get the fuck in there and start implementing whatever it is they want to implement. And that's difficult to do as well because they don't have much time. They need the team to hit the ground running. So it's entirely possible that for the final, say, few games, it's possible they would turn to Kevin Nolan.
Yeah, bringing in a kind of a club, basically a club legend who's currently in the training room right now.
Yeah, he's right there. The players are already used to him. Some of them, staff even that are there, are still there from before. They know him.
Yeah.
It would be an instant transition.
And it would be a whole total philosophy change as well, instantaneously.
Yeah, and it would be a very easy appointment as regards contracts and all that. He would be desperate for the job.
At the end of the season contracts.
Yeah, if you're trying to bring in another manager who has a bit of a reputation, bit of a name, there's always negotiations and all that about contracts and clauses and this and that and the other, and can be a bit of messing about. It's not an overnight thing. You could have Kevin Nolan in literally overnight. As Jesse says there, we're not sacking him right now. I'd sack him now. I would have sacked him before the fucking game tonight. And I'm not kidding.
That team lineup came out.
I'd have taken one look at the lineup and the formation, and I said, David, you're fired. You fucking coward. You're fired.
I mean,
and I'd have said, call Kevin Nolan over. You're taking the team, and you're in charge for the rest of the season. We'll sort the contract out tomorrow. Get the team set up.
We haven't even talked about this at all. Snodgrass was up front.
Yeah, listen, we fucking stop. Don't even start me on that shit, man. And I have nothing against Snoddy, and this is not Snodgrass's fault.
No,
all right. Robert Snodgrass is not a striker. Robert Snodgrass is not a striker. Robert Snodgrass is not related to a striker. He has no business being up front with Antonio. It's a fucking joke.
Granted,
you could have put Snodgrass in beside Rice. He'd have done a really good job for us, I think, beside Rice. Okay, you could have done that. We went 80 minutes, was it, with no striker on the pitch.
Yeah.
Antonio's a winger. I'm sorry, Antonio's a winger. End of story. Anyone who saw Antonio late in the second half cutting in on the right-hand side of the box and then trying to shoot with his left foot, he's not a striker. Now, the man will run his bollocks off for you for 90 minutes. Brilliant attitude, and he has a lot to offer on the pitch. I can't fault him, but he's not a striker. He doesn't have a striker's instinct. We went 80 minutes with not a single striker on the pitch. With Robert Snodgrass up there with Antonio. I mean, come on.
I had been texting with Johnny because he wasn't able to watch the match, so I was trying to help give him some updates and everything. And one of the texts he sent was, "Who's up front, or how many do we have up front?" And I said, "Well, on paper 2, but in reality 0."
Yeah, exactly. I was fucking afraid to tell you, mate. I'm afraid to tell you.
I've been saying that personally. I wanted Allaire dropped for a match.
And he wasn't in my team either.
But when you're forward options in this match, or the forwards that you put out are a winger and a central midfielder, and you have a 40 million pound striker on the bench, chuck him in. I don't care. But at that point, I mean, it just doesn't make any damn sense.
Oh, no, thank you for reminding me, because we fucking have to talk about this too. Did you hear that fucking shit he was talking about Bowen?
Oh God, yes.
In the pre, did you hear that absolute horseshit that was coming out of his mouth about, championship players don't want to chuck him in too soon, put too much pressure on him. These boys, they come up from the championship and it's tough. It's like, fuck off. Yeah. What are you talking about, man?
I mean,
okay, this is a fucking a striker that we've brought in to help us score goals. We've spent 16 point something million on him, rising to 22 million.
This is the most accurate tonight, right here.
He's 22 going on 23. Bowen. By the way, he's not a boy, and he was been plying his trade in the championship. If you're scoring 16 goals in 24 appearances in championship, and that's a tough league, Chris.
Oh, I know.
I know you watch championship games. The championship is not for boys. It's not for the faint of heart. That's a man's league in there. And if you're 22 going on 23, and with a mid-table team like Cullen, you're scoring 16 goals in 23 games, you're a fucking grown man. You're a grown man, and you're fucking confident. And you're a goal scorer. And to bring him into the Premier League, so that he can help us to score goals and try and dig us out of this hole. For Moyes to say what he said just will tell you how absolutely fucking clueless that man is.
There's
I couldn't believe it.
the two big issues that I have with that statement. First of all, that he hadn't even seen the pitch yet, and you're already tearing him down, hurting his confidence. Second of all, the other player midfielder you had just brought in the this past transfer window, Souček, hadn't played for 3 weeks and came from the which I don't watch the Czech league, and I know that he played in the Champions League too. But I guarantee you the Czech league is not as physically demanding as the Premier League. But yet you drop him in anyway, and he's good to go. But Bowen coming up from the Championship, a tougher division than the Premier League in some aspects. Oh, he's not ready yet. He's not ready yet. It makes no
and a more physical, more competitive league than the Czech league, and
this is no disrespect to the Czech league by any stretch.
But Bowen is English. Grown up here, born and raised, played only in England, played in the Championship, and then brought into the Premier League. It's fucking plug and play. There's nothing to discuss here. Moyes is a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
What he said was absolutely nonsense. I mean, he should have been doing the opposite of what he did. If it was me, and they asked me about Jared Bowen, I said, yeah, he's good to go. I said, he's very confident, very talented. We all believe in him. We know what he's capable of. That's why he's here. So he'll be going in, and we fully trust him. He's going to be fine. He's a natural goal scorer, full of confidence. And, he's raring to go. And, we brought him here because we believe he's ready. And you fill him, you fucking blow sunshine up his arse. And then put him in there. The guy's flying it. He's high in confidence. He's scoring goals for fun all fucking season. And I guarantee you, Jared Bowen believes he can come into the Premier League and score goals. Guarantee you. Strikers are confidence players. And he's banging them in all season. Getting assists as well. He was ready. Mentally, physically ready to go. And Moyes comes out with that bollocks.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the guy is fucking clueless. Moyes does not know what he's doing.
No, I think he's way in over his head at this point, and something needs to change. Either him, in terms of who's in the position, or him mentally. But let's be honest, that's not likely to happen either.
He's got no bollocks.
No,
he's got no bollocks, and we're in a position where we need people with bollocks.
Yep.
Because that's the only way you get out of this mess we're in.
Yep.
Declan Rice tonight played with bollocks. He was the only one, I thought, that played with real bollocks. The rest of them were passive, including our manager with his selection and formation. The rest of the players were passive. Antonio did his best. He was on a hiding to nothing. He had no chance tonight, Antonio. Absolutely none.
Yeah.
Snodgrass had no chance. These are players that will give you everything they've got. But when the manager doesn't give him a fucking chance, what can I do? Rice did his best. The reason he was able to have some kind of impact is because he's so talented and he was in his own natural position. So he was able to try and do something, make an impact. Snoddy had no chance. And Tony had no chance, even though they tried, bless them. The rest of them looked like they were fucking... It looked like the final game of the season when there was nothing to play for. And their minds were kind of already on the beach. Yep. It was a nothing game. It's just really, really worrying. So Moyes had better grow a pair of bollocks pretty quick. Otherwise, we're fucked. And I think there's a lot of angry West Ham fans tonight, and I'm one of them. Because if there's one thing I can't stand, it's fucking cowardice.
Yep.
And that was cowardice from Moyes today.
Yep. Well, as always, Tommy, I want to thank you for coming on and joining me. I know that I think since we've been doing these together, we have not actually seen a West Ham win. No. So it's never been under good circumstances.
I know, and I'm sick of it.
We have Liverpool on Monday, so
David Moyes and Pellegrini between them are making me seem like a miserable cunt. Do you know what I mean? They're
Yeah.
making me say, he was saying, is that guy ever fucking happy?
Yeah.
You know, because I don't want to fucking be talking about the team like this or the manager. I want to be coming on here talking about.
Oh,
We didn't even have to. You know,
shit.
we didn't even have to win tonight necessarily to make me happy, and for
Yeah.
me to come on here and be positive and have some good things to say. It just had to have been an attempt to have a go and play well and get at them and show positivity and a bit of courage and character and a bit of fight, and I would have been fine. But I mean, they're just giving us nothing to work with here. We've found ourselves, we've got no choice but to come on and talk the way we do. It's so much negativity. And
It's worse and worse, or we take to Twitter and it becomes that's a whole other entity. At least this is almost like a good space to kind of just come and vent. So
yeah, it's a bit of therapy, I suppose. But you know, it would just be nice to have something to smile about. Yeah, it would look. Hopefully soon. It's not going to be. It's not going to be Monday night. I'm telling you now, Chris. Sorry.
probably not.
You and I will be back here Monday. It's going to be more of this shit. It's going to be more of this shit. But then we have Southampton at home, and so I'm just hoping against hope that we can be good enough to get the 3 points somehow, to just get the 3 points, and then maybe we can come on here and have some positive things to say for once. That would be nice, because I'm sick of this, Chris. It's going on for so long now. We're all sick of it, all West Ham fans. We don't want to be moaning after every bloody game, you know?
No.
But here we are.
Well, again, I want to thank you for coming on and joining me again. I want to thank everyone in the chat, as always. And we'll see you back here Monday afternoon after Liverpool, one way or the other. Come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.